Hello and welcome. In this video, we will understand how we can execute stored procedures with Dapper. For this demo, I have created some stored procedures. First one is get all employees. And if I execute this procedure, this will give me all the employees. Second procedure is get employee by ID. It is taking one parameter of integer type. And if I execute it like this, I will get the employee with the matching employee ID. Right, either I can provide the ID parameter like this, or I can directly execute it like this also without specifying the parameter name. The third one is search employee by salary. Here I am taking two inputs. One is minimum salary and one is maximum salary. And I am returning only those employees whose salary is falling between this particular range, right? So if I execute this query by giving the minimum and maximum salary, I am getting 3 employees. Now let's see how we can execute these 3 procedures. So here you can see I have the connection string and I have created an SQL connection using this connection string. First, let's prepare the SQL statement. So I will specify the procedure name here, get all employees. And after this, what I can say connection dot query, and I will be using the generic type. So I will specify the employee type here, and within this I will pass the SQL query. And one more thing we need to do, we need to specify the command type. For that we can use the command type parameter and mention here command type dot stored procedure. Let's store this result in employees. After this, we can use a for each loop and print all the employees. Let's run this program. You can notice I am getting all the employees, and we have successfully executed this particular stored procedure. One other way to execute this is by using the execute keyword, because if you see in your database, right, we can execute the procedure by specifying the exec keyword, that is short form for execute. So let's try with this also. You will notice we will get a runtime error because exe space get employees is not a stored procedure, and we have specified the command type as a stored procedure here. So to resolve it, either you can remove this parameter from here and run the application. You will get the data back again. And what you can do, you can specify the command type as command text. So like this, I can specify the command type as text and run the application again. And I will again get the data back. Okay. So if you are using exe keyword, you need to make sure you are using the command type as text, or you need to make sure you are not specifying the command type as stored procedure. Now let's try to execute this particular stored procedure, that is get employee by ID. This will take one employee ID as parameter and return that particular employee. So if we execute this, I'm getting the Christopher Wilson. So coming back to the Visual Studio, this time I want to execute this procedure. So I will put this in my SQL. Let me change my command type back to stored procedure, because that is the best practice. You need to always specify which type of command you are trying to execute with Dapper, because based on this, Dapper can optimize your queries and improve the performance. Right. So we have specified the command type, but we need to specify one more thing here, and that is the parameter. Because if you remember, this is taking one ID parameter of integer type. So let's pass that. To pass parameter, what we can do, we can use DynamicParameters class. I have created an object of DynamicParameters, and now I can add actual parameters in it. So I will say parameters dot add, and I want to add the ID parameter. So I will specify the ID parameter like this with @ symbol. And after this, I will pass the actual value that I want to pass for this parameter. So let me pass employee ID as 7, right? And because this will return me only one row, so what I can do, I can change this query to query first or default. Once that is done, let's change our for each loop also, because now we don't have a list of employees, we only have one employee in the result. Let's call it employee and remove the for each loop from here. One last step that we need to do, we need to pass this parameter to our query first or default method. So to do that, we have a parameter name with name param, and I can specify the parameters here, right? So this time I'm passing three things. One is my SQL, that is my stored procedure name. Second one is the command type. I'm telling the Dapper this is a stored procedure type of command. And the third one is the parameter which my stored procedure is expecting. Once that is done, let's run the application. You can see here we are getting the employee back, that is employee ID 7 Christopher Wilson. So this is how you can execute procedure with some parameter. So let's try one more thing. Let's try to execute the third procedure, that is search employee by salary, that is taking two parameters of decimal type. So let's copy the procedure name here and paste it here. Now I need to pass two parameters. One is minimum salary and second one is maximum salary. Pass the values also. If you hover over on these values, right, you can see by default it is taking this as an integer type. But if you notice here, right, the parameters are decimal. This will not give us any error, but it is better to tell the Dapper what is the data type available in the database. So in database, we have the data type as decimal. So let's specify that here by using the db type parameter. And I can specify here db type dot decimal. Let's do it for the second one also. SP will return multiple employees. So let's change it back to query. Right, and let's change the name to employees, and again use a for each loop and print the employee data like this and run the application. And as expected, we are getting three employees back, and these employees are having salary within this range, within the 90,000 and 100,000 range. That's it for this video, guys. In the next video, we will continue our discussion and understand how we can execute different type of stored procedures in Dapper.